What's up everybody, Jesse here to answer any of the Nintendo Switch or Zelda related questions that you may have. So if you would like to have your question answered or to be featured on our next episode of the Zelda Mailbag, please comment them below and we'll try to get to as many as we can. Our next question seems to be a popular one. A few different people have asked. The Forest Korok says, I wonder if Fi has any role in the game. Seeing as she is the spirit of the Master Sword and the sword is in decay, would that mean Fi is dead or possibly dying? Donald Hopling asks a similar question. Do you think that Fi would ever appear again because she is the Master Sword and it's rusting? These are both actually very interesting questions because what I get asked more than anything else is, since Fi or Fi is the spirit that resides in the Master Sword, and Skyward Sword takes place before any of the Zelda games at the very beginning of the timeline, then Fi should at least be referred to or mentioned in some way in all of the Zelda games that take place after Skyward Sword. But there's no mention of her. And the thing about that is, they didn't come up with the concept of Fi, or at least they didn't introduce her to the series until Skyward Sword, which was the very last home console Zelda game they've made. Now, if they end up doing an actual HD remake of Ocarina of Time, as opposed to the 3D remake, a small tidbit, I think they're going to be doing this for the 20th anniversary, which is in 2018, for Ocarina of Time. So some dialogue may be rewritten, sort of how they change stuff around in the Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask 3D games. But in Breath of the Wild, I think there'll be a mention of her. I don't think you'll actually see her. You may see like a painting or a cutscene or something that talks about her or mentions the legend of a spirit that once lived inside the Master Sword or something like that. And we see from the artwork the Master Sword is in one of the worst shapes that it's ever been in. And maybe part of the game will be restoring the Master Sword to its true form, which is what I think you had to do that in Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, maybe a few other Zelda games. And I think we're going to have to be doing that again in this game, except this time when you fix the sword to its true power, I think instead of saying that you have to restore the sword to its former power or to its perfect form or whatever, I think they'll mention something that there's a spirit inside the sword that's dying, that you need to take this sword to these different places in order to enchant it or to build it back up. And I think that's the mention that we're going to get towards Fi. I don't know if it'll be an actual mention of Fi or Fi directly, like using her name, but I think they'll say something about the spirit inside the sword needs to be restored in order to defeat Ganon or Ganondorf. Our second question comes from Deathwish Cassidy, who asks, what are some of your personal favorite dungeons? Please name at least one atypical dungeon, if applicable. I actually already made a list. One of the first Zelda related videos I did was my top 10 3D Zelda dungeons, which I wanted to make a list for the 3D dungeons for games like Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and then I was going to do a list of 2D dungeons for Minish Cap, A Link to the Past, A Link Between Worlds, and stuff like that. So you can go and check out that list, but it changes from time to time. Sometimes you prefer playing Wind Waker over Twilight Princess, sometimes you prefer playing Twilight Princess over the Wind Waker. Lately I found myself wanting to play through Skyward Sword more than any of the other Zelda games, but I would have to say my favorite dungeon is still Stone Tower Temple from Majora's Mask. Sidhant Argawal, sorry if I mispronounced your name, asks, do you think the Zelda Amiibo, like the Hero of Time Amiibo, will be like the Wolf Link Amiibo, so you can have Ocarina of Time Link with you? This is referring to if you have the Wolf Link Amiibo in Breath of the Wild, you'll be able to summon a wolf companion to help you out. It's completely optional. It's something you don't have to do. It's not going to ruin the game for you if you don't have it. But he's there as like a side character to help you out. It would be interesting if they did this. We know what the 30th anniversary Link Amiibos are going to be doing. but we don't know what the new amiibos they introduced at E3 are going to be doing. There's the one of the Guardian, Link on Epona, and then Link shooting the bow and arrow. I'm not really sure what these are going to do. Maybe if you tap the one with Link shooting the bow and arrow, I don't think another Link or Zelda companion will come next to you. But I think you will get something like that special arrow that he has. Maybe you'll have one of those added to your inventory, or it'll refill those type of arrows. It's really hard to say. Maybe a lot of people think that whenever battles get too frustrating for you, you'll be able to tap the Guardian amiibo and it'll automatically destroy one of the Guardians. Or a lot of people think that you'll be able to tap that amiibo and you'll get like one of those small Guardians we see inside the shrines, and they'll be able to run around and be your little side companion like Wolf Link amiibo, which both would be cool. I'm not sure if they would do that, but it would be really cool. But honestly, I have no idea what any of the amiibo are going to do. But I would love to hear your thoughts. Whatever you think the new amiibo are going to do, put them in the comments below. Not Me 110791 asks, one more thing. Some of us would like links to the thumbnails you use in your videos. There's a really nice one for the video, and I remember seeing people ask if you could link one for the other videos. The thumbnail with the giant boss moblin and Link looking up at the starry sky. So what I do for most of my thumbnails is, if they aren't made for me, which a few of them are, I usually take like a screenshot. For instance, if it's about Breath of the Wild, I'll take a screenshot from the game itself, and then I'll take some artwork, and I'll kind of mix the two together. So you get a scene from inside the actual game, then you get really cool artwork, and then I'll have it feathered down the middle so it doesn't look like an abrupt, like you're just cutting a picture and putting it on top of another. It kind of fades into the other image. And then sometimes I'll add text to the bottom of it, like if it's a Zelda theory, I'll just write Zelda theory or something like that. And that's how I do them. I'll start putting links for the thumbnails in the video, so you can go and download them, use them as wallpaper, or whatever you want to do. Luigi Gardo, sorry if I mispronounced your name, asks, would you like to see Epona, Loftwing, or something else, or both? Well, we know we're going to be seeing Epona in Breath of the Wild, but I've always theorized that there's always a possibility for the Loftwings to come back, because in Twilight Princess, the way you got to the city in the sky is there's the huge cannon, and you have to do the quest for it, and it's just this ridiculous comedic way of getting to a place in the sky. But in Skyward Sword, they introduced the Loftwings. So I would think it would be awesome if the Loftwings somehow returned in returned in Breath of the Wild, and riding one of those is how you would get to, say, the top of Death Mountain really fast, or get to the city in the sky. That would make a lot more sense than jumping inside a cannon and being shot there. But and it would also be really cool experience to be flying over this huge Hyrule with all these mountains, different landscapes, deserts, oceans, and everything, and being able to look down on the Loftwing and be able to see everything in HD, how it looks. You get a real feel for the landscape, and if there were battles on top of it, like the one towards the end of Skyward Sword, where you have to fight the parasite on top of the flying whale thing, I forgot its name. But if they did something like that in Breath of the Wild, I think that would be really cool. You've always been able to use arrows and sometimes other weapons on Epona, but being able to use those weapons on a Loftwing while you're flying instead of just riding on the ground, I think that would be really awesome. Cheesy Taco asks, will you do any live streams with your brother? Yeah, since this video, I've actually done a few more live streams with my little brother. It was just Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, stuff like that. But lately, we've been streaming Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. I'm hoping to do a 100% run of Twilight Princess to get all of the heart pieces in the game. That way, I can try to beat the Shadow Dungeon, or whatever it's called, for when you tap the Wolf Link amiibo on Twilight Princess. And that way, the Wolf Link companion in Breath of the Wild will have as many hearts as possible. Mr. Epic Robot asks, do you think there will be time traveling in the game? I actually, I'm working on a video right now, or a Zelda theory, for ZeldaInformer.com. And it's basically going over how I believe time travel is going to work in Breath of the Wild. And that's basically, we see the Guardian, or not the Guardian, the goddess statues in Breath of the Wild. Sometimes we can see them and they're glowing, like the one next to the forest jungle shrine that we seen at the Game Awards trailer. And then there was the one inside the Temple of Time. Nintendo released a video where it shows it glowing. I think they'll be used in the same way they were used in Skyward Sword, which makes sense, but in Skyward Sword, Zelda finds out that she is the reincarnation of the goddess Hylia. In the same way, Link is revived or woke up, and he has no idea who he is or who he was. And I think you'll be praying at these goddess statues like Zelda did in Skyward Sword, and it'll be showing you flashbacks or memories of who you were and how the world became the way it was for Breath of the Wild. And in those cutscenes, you'll be able to see what happened in the past. If the Temple of Time ends up being a dungeon, like in Twilight Princess, you were able to travel back in time using the Temple of Time. Just for that one dungeon, though. I think there might be something like that as well, but I think most of the game, any time travel will be dealt with using cutscenes or flashbacks, memories, stuff like that, through the use of the goddess statues. You can look for the full theory, because there's a lot more in-depth detail that we go over, but it'll be on Zelda Informer's YouTube within a few days from now, hopefully. Ryder541 asks, what are your thoughts on being able to access areas from old games? I feel like it's a long shot, but if it's a true open world game, it would be cool to be able to access areas like Termina. I don't think you'll be visiting Hyrule from A Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time or anything Twilight Princess. I don't think you'll be visiting Termina or any of the Holodrum, any of the other areas outside of Hyrule that you're able to visit in past Zelda games. I think this will just be Hyrule. You may get a glimpse of what it used to look like before evil took over Hyrule and everything was destroyed, but I don't think you'll be able to visit any specific areas from older games. Obviously, the Temple of Time looks like they just took the Temple of Time out of Ocarina of Time and put it in Breath of the Wild. Hyrule Castletown looks like they took Hyrule Castletown from Twilight Princess, stuck it there. The Twin Peaks off in the mountain looks like they took it out of the original Zelda and just put it there. So I think there'll be areas that resemble other areas from past Zelda games, but I think this will just be like a big mesh combination of all of these familiar landmarks from past Zelda games put in this new version of Hyrule. And then obviously there'll be a lot of areas that are new, completely new to this game. Breed Brown asks, the pod Link wakes up in is some type of animus, maybe. Laugh out loud. What if they tried to force Link to remember who and what he was by making him face Ganon in other timelines and worlds they created? That's why there's so much different timelines in this game. I have a big theory, but it takes time I don't have right now to explain. Laugh out loud. Again, earlier I went over something about like that with my theory on how the different stuff is going to work with time travel and memories and everything. I don't necessarily think they'll be using it as any type of animus-like device. I think it'll just be used mainly at the beginning of the game to heal you or to bring you back, whatever it may be. Obviously, fairies can bring people back to life in Zelda. Maybe this is the same thing, but again, I don't think it'll be used like an animus to put you in like a virtual world to end up fighting stuff. But it would be cool if they used it as sort of a boss rush mode after you defeat all of the bosses in some of the remakes of Zelda games. You're able to go through the boss rush and fight all of the bosses one after the other. It would be cool if they let you do that using the Animus type thing, but that's the only thing I could see them actually using it for, other than sleeping until morning or something like that. Charles Uzumaki 2 asks, Jesse, is everything okay? That noise alerted me too, cause I turn my TV up when I watch your videos. Yeah, for those that don't know, the last Zelda Mailbag that we did was on, I recorded it Halloween night, and there was a loud pop at the end of the video while I was in the middle of recording, and I was hearing a weird noise after the pop. I thought it was kids outside doing pranks or something like that, because that's what people do on Halloween, but it turns out my hot water heater ended up catching on fire, and the pop I heard was like a little, not an explosion, but like the water heater made a loud popping noise when it busted, and the fire was like, I don't know, it wasn't huge, but it was definitely worrisome at first. I ended up having to call the fire department, and luckily the fire died out before they got here. Everything was okay. I got a new water heater a few days later. But yeah, everything's fine now. Sometimes I do get scared that it might happen again, but that was an old water heater. The new one should be a lot safer. Virgil Calget, sorry if I mispronounced your name, asks, do you think that the new NPC approach Bill and Aonuma were talking about during E3 could include elements such as stealing a farmer's crops or killing animals from NPC farms, etc.? What I mean is more interactive approach and more realistic in a sense of bringing more freedom to the gameplay. Sorry about the length. I don't think you'll be killing other people's livestock. There may be the opposite, or the ability to do that, or the option to do something like that, because we've seen you're able to shoot different animals and you'll get food if you kill a boar or whatever. But I don't necessarily think there's going to be a mission or a side quest that involves you going to somebody's farm and setting fire to their fields or crops and then killing all of their cows. It would be really cool if there was something like the side quest in Majora's Mask where you have to rescue the farm from the aliens that come. If they did something like that to where you had to protect someone's farm from a bunch of bokoblins or moblins or even the aliens again, I think that would be really, really cool, especially since this game will be much wider or more open than the other games. Maybe you'll have different ways of dealing with the different enemies. Instead of just shooting them with arrows, maybe you can summon your wolf link. They'll take care of some of them while you run and fight off some of the others. If the crowds got as big as at the end of Skyward Sword, when you have to battle your way down through all of the bokoblins or moblins to get to the final battle with Demise, if there was large groups of enemies like that attacking the farm, I think that would be really cool. Come here, Jared. Alright, come here. Alright, and last, the question I have is for my little brother who has been playing through Twilight Princess the past few days. What dungeon are we currently at?
The second one?
The second dungeon in the volcano? Alright, so while playing the games, you've played through the first couple of dungeons in Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, Majora's Mask, or no, not Majora's Mask, but Twilight Princess and The Wind Waker. Out of all of those Zelda games, which one's your favorite so far?
The one where I'm playing.
What one are you playing right now?
The Zelda game.
Well, which one?
The volcano one.
Twilight Princess? And why do you like it more than the other Zelda games? So you would think a kid would end up liking Wind Waker more than any of the Zelda games because it is the one that mostly resembles a cartoon. Why don't you like that game over Twilight Princess? You just like Twilight Princess more? What's your favorite weapon to use so far?
The bow and arrow.
The bow and arrow? Alright. What about the dungeons? Are they hard, easy, fun, boring?
Fun.
Fun? But are they hard fun or are they good fun?
Hard fun.
Hard fun. If you had to rate this game on a scale of 1 through 10, 10 being the best, what would you give it? You don't know? Alright, there you go. A review from a 7-year-old for Twilight Princess. Alright, and with all of that out of the way, if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll try to get to them on the next video. Thank you all for watching. And also, I'm thinking about having a guest on the next Zelda Mailbag, so whoever you want to see. Guests in the past have included HMK, Sasizi, RMFH, Commonwealth Realm, Joey, who also works with Commonwealth Realm, and several other people. So comment what question you have and who you have it for, and I'll try to get that guest to answer the question. So if you have a question for me, just put Jesse at the end of it, or if you have a question for Rick or HMK or whoever, put your question, and then after the question, put who you want to answer it, and we'll try to get 10 questions. I'll be answering some, and then whichever guest you put that you want to see answer the question, I'll try to have them as well. I can't promise that they'll necessarily do it because a lot of them are busy, but some of them, like Sasizi or Rick, I'm always working with them. So yeah, just leave your question, who you want to answer it, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, and thank you for watching this episode of the Zelda Mailbag. I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you liked it, give this video a like and share it with your friends. If you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss out on future gaming news, theories, rumors, and discussions. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on how it could be improved. Your feedback is the most important part of bringing the quality of content on this channel to be the best that it can be. I would like to take this time to give a huge thank you to this month's Patreon supporters: Jonathan, The Edge Network, Magic Tech Review, John Frank, and Harris Priest. This video was made possible by supporters on Patreon. If you would also like to support this channel, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can support this channel as well. Rewards vary from having your topic featured on a future discussion, seeing videos early, joining as a guest on a video, shoutouts, and having a custom avatar similar to my own drawn of you to match any video game or anime art style that you would like. Mine is of myself as Link, but you could choose to have yours any way that you would like. Finally, I would like to thank my friends CS Guitar 89 and Gnomo Designs for providing the music and artwork for this video.